All right, good morning, everyone. It's a great question. It is Sunday, July 14th at 7:46 in the morning. And we are in Marietta, Ohio. Looks like a microtel. I think it's a microtel. And the Ride of a Lifetime birthday group ride has concluded. Well, it concluded yesterday. We had a social hour last night. It was quite nice. But it's time to get home and pack for my trip to Seattle. So let's get this show on the road. Looks like we rode about 96 miles and some change yesterday. It was quite fun. Got to see all the folks. Got to meet some new people.
And that's always a good time. So start the bike up here and let it idle down. 96 miles in the tank means I'll only get about another 70 to 90, depends on how nice I am to the throttle, until I have to stop again and get more. So we are going to just, there's a Marathon gas station right across from the hotel. So we're going to stop there. Get some go-go juice for the bike.
Yeah, alright. I shouldn't need a whole lot, fortunately. We will go ahead and put the windshield extension up, though. This thing is a great tool to cut down on all the buffeting that I get. We're going to record until the camera gives out, I think. Or simply put, until I run out of things to say. We'll see which happens first. Way the expensive go-go juice. Makes the Harley gods happy. Now, yesterday, I managed to spray all over the side of the tank and me. So we're going to attempt our best not to do that today. For what it is, this bike has been incredibly efficient for the past few long trips. 43 to 45 miles per gallon on average. Now you're just going to print receipts on top of each other. Okay, well that's just silly. Dude, cool it, you're in a gas station. Someone's impatient, jeez. Squealing tires. So we're taking the highway today. We're gonna crush miles on the super slab instead of taking the back roads because I need to get lots of stuff done today. And also want to give myself some time to relax. Keys are good, wallet's good, phone is good. Both my bags are secured. Keys. I never put this thing in neutral. Should do that. And we set our trip odometer so we can see how far we've gone. Camera's still recording. Yes.
Alrighty, and here's the Ohio River overlooking downtown Parkersburg. Not sure if I can get that on camera. I'm sure I got some good shots yesterday of the area. Camera is recording. Oh, it's 73 here. I guess I should get with the program. I shouldn't say that bridge was overlooking downtown Parkersburg. That's wrong. That's overlooking parts of Marietta. It was a nice hotel. I don't stay in hotels often, so I really can't give a good review other than the coffee was hot, the people were nice, and the service was great. I don't know what hotel chain I'm staying in when I travel to Seattle this week. It was reserved, and I can't remember off the top of my head. Should have cleaned this windshield before I got going. Oh, man. So, Jeremiah, sir, I want to thank you for the hospitality you and your mother showed. Jesse, it was good to see you again, and all the other gentlemen. We got Tim and Nick, SlightMoto, and Fran as well. Gents, it was good to see everyone. Arzy, it was great to see you. Like I said before, if you ever need a bunkmate again, let me know. And when it's time to go camping later in the year, once it cools off a bit, I'll be there. I could definitely use a run out to Alabama. Never been. Be kind of cool. Even Tennessee. I like this part of the country. Out here in Ohio and western West Virginia, when you get on these big highways, big as far as this part of the country is concerned, their speed limits are 70, so you can move right along at about 75 and not feel too bad for doing it. Travel is always something that's interested me. And I used to not really care about the routes I took to get somewhere. Not until probably last year. Honestly, early last year. And that's part of what sort of inspired me to get a bike. You know, they say you can travel the country in a car. And you can. Some people like to travel the country in a car. Some people like to travel the country in a bus. Some people like flying, and all those methods are valid. And as long as you're traveling, you're doing it right. But there's something to be said for how you experience it on a motorcycle. I won't say you become an interactive part of the environment, but you definitely experience things at a slightly different pace. You typically can't go as far as cars on a single tank of gas, so you're stopping for gas more. Unless you're on one of the major interstates, I-81, I-70, 66, 10, any of the major ones, it's not necessarily guaranteed that you're going to have a gas stop that's easy to get on or easy to get to when you're on the highway. So you might have to dive off the highway by a few miles out of your way to go get gas. Especially the couple times I've had to do that up and down the I-95 corridor when you get through Southern Virginia and the northern North Carolina. There's not a whole lot there. And I've met some really cool people in my motorcycle travels. The group of people previously listed are included in that. When I learned more about motorcycle traveling and learned more about how people do it, there are people who are very structured. They gotta know their route, they gotta know their stops, they gotta know when their stretch breaks are, they gotta have the hotel pre-booked, bike's gotta be in tip-top shape, you know, check all the oils, check all the fluids. And then there's another subset of people I've noticed. The bike make bike noises. My laundry is somewhat clean and packed on the bike precariously. Let's go. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with either. Yep, camera's still here. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with either. I think Shade Tree Surgeon said it best. Just take the dang trip. And what did he mean? Hop on the bike and go. You can attempt to plan the most perfect scenic route across the best highways that has the best twisties, the best everything. And then it can rain. Or your bike could get few issues. Learning to accept that perfection on bike trips can be a bit of a difficult thing to achieve. For some can be difficult. It took a while for me to acknowledge it. Like, I was getting frustrated that I wasn't getting up and rolling as early as I could have, leaving and then coming out here. I was slightly frustrated that I would have loved to have had my long sleeve gear right now, so I'm not so chilly, although in the grand scheme of things, I'm going to be fine. Or even, when I was at the LifeOfBurch meet earlier this year back in May, I was frustrated. Oh man, it's raining. This is supposed to be a perfect ride, but I still got to take the positives from it. I still got to meet great, amazing people. I still got to ride. I still had to ride there. I still got to be social. I had some great food. There are still so many positives to take out of it that I would be damned if I would say I didn't have a good time, because even a bad ride is still a good ride. Even if I still get rained on, well, darn it, I'm still on two wheels with my knees in the breeze. It can't be all that bad. And what I've learned is I like to strike a happy median in my rides now. Plan just enough that I know where I'm going to go and I know what hotel I'm staying in. But don't plan so much that I have turn-by-turn directions every step of the way. We're not going to get stuck behind you, friend. So yeah, planning a trip. I've learned I like to strike a happy median between planning every turn and just winging it. I find myself really happy when I know where I'm going, and I know that I have some place to stay when I get there. Everything in between, we'll see what happens. I purposefully took the slower, twistier route to get here, and I'm glad I did, because I got to see some gorgeous scenery in West Virginia. I mean, just beautiful parts of the state that I've never been to. I've been on a large part of Route 50 out east, but never this far out west. I learned more dynamics of group riding yesterday, and every time I ride in a group and with a different group, and I don't do group rides often, and every time I have, they have been with different people. But every time I've done group rides, it's always interesting to learn the dynamics of the group. And generally speaking, I vibe best with the cruisers, the sport tourings, the heavier bikes, and the twisty, windy 35 to 45 mile an hour back roads, with the occasional jaunts up to 55 to 60. I've never been able to vibe with the sport bike riding community, and that's not to put anyone down. But when revving through residential areas, when we're doing wheelies, exiting a meet right in front of a state trooper, it's a call out to a previous ride. That's kind of what gives the rest of the group a bad name. That's when you see the dramatic YouTube videos of a cop pulling a single rider over, trying to get information about another rider who they may or may not know, and then when they're honest with the cop, if they don't know, or dishonest with the cop when they say they don't know, the cop writes them a ticket, and that's what gives the whole community at best a bad name. That's why I generally don't speed. I'm pretty reserved. I mean, the Harley will go fast. I do know that for a fact. But I'm not particularly interested in breaking any land speed records on public roads. Just not the place to do it. There's too many variables. There's too many divots in the road. There's too many other people. You just don't know what could go wrong. And I don't want to be a greasy, bloody spot on the highway if something does go wrong. Good morning, Chris. I see you've sent me a message on Facebook. I will check vengeance as soon as I'm safely able to do so. The conversation of new bikes came up during the social hour after the ride. And I've learned my preference is definitely the larger, heavier bikes. If that's not your thing, that's alright too. But I've definitely learned my preference is the larger, heavier bikes. The touring bikes, I think, is the universal way to say it. Not necessarily cruiser, but as you break into touring. I don't believe Harley categorizes the Softail Heritage, which is what a Road King is, just a Softail with a different name and some hard bags. I'm overly simplifying that. But they don't categorize that on their website. I'm going to go back and look now, but I'll throw a screenshot in. Come Monday, when you're editing the video, throw the screenshot in at their website. But I don't believe they have this under the touring section. They typically reserve that for the larger fairing bikes.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
Oh, bug just got me. Holy, that hurt. When I was in town, in Parkersburg, I visited what I think has been the most interesting Harley dealer ever, at least in name, was Mothman Harley Davidson. I found that name quite humorous. Apparently they're a relatively new dealership too, having only been around for about 14 months, and they seemed like they were killing it. Pretty social when I got there. Met, I'm gonna forget his name. Ain't that a travesty? It was a nice gentleman who worked the front counter, was telling me about the history of Wheeling, West Virginia, where he was born and raised. And I've been through Wheeling. Nowadays, it's in rough shape. At least the last time I went through it, it was in rough shape. A lot of major industry used to exist in Wheeling. Steel was a large exporter, Wheeling Steel. And after time has gone by, the town is just sort of closed up. They're building more homes. Last time I was out there, but I just don't know if there's enough industry to support those homes, but I don't know. There's a Wheeling History YouTube channel I'm going to probably check out and download. If I can download their videos using the YouTube app on my phone, I will, so I can watch them on the way out. They're just short 2-3 minute clips. But learning more about the history of the land around me is something that interests me. It's cool to know what the area was like around me before I was here. I'm glad on this trip I remembered sunscreen. That's not a mistake I'm not going to say ever going to make again, but that's a mistake I'm not soon to make again.